What's up, everybody? How's it going? We got some breaking news, guys. Tucker Carlson has come out and he is exposing Kamala Harris and Joe Biden for their corrupt participation with the border at the southern United States, as well as the voting, the illegal immigrants, and taxpayer dollars, guys. Tucker Carlson is coming out big time with this. You're not going to believe it. We have protesters who are already lining up to go against the Democratic National Convention to protest the war with Israel and Iran. These anti-Israel protesters have already stormed many of Kamala Harris's events, heckling Vice President Kamala Harris big time. And we have Kamala Harris's economic plan for the $25,000 she wants to give to first-time homebuyers, the ban on the price gouging for groceries, and the big child tax credits, big payouts, guys. This is huge. I've got this breaking news for you. Thank you to everybody that is watching, that is supporting the channel. We love you. We thank you. Don't forget to smash that thumbs up button. And also, too, if you don't mind, guys, hit that subscribe button, guys. We're here to serve you. And thank you to everybody that's giving a super chat donation, as well as all the new members of the channel, guys. Love you and appreciate you very much. Let's go ahead, get right into this. This is some breaking news. Check it out.
And it's happening for political reasons. It's happening because the Democratic Party has ceased making the case for itself to Americans. And so in order to keep power, in fact, to expand their power and to preside over the one-party state that they desire, they're going to need a brand new electorate. And this is their electorate. Foreigners will choose your leaders. You're not allowed to choose the leaders of foreign countries, but foreigners will choose your leaders, including in this election, this 2024 presidential election. Well, how would that work? It's illegal, you say, for illegal aliens to vote in a federal election. Well, actually, it's not illegal, it turns out. Congress passed something in the U.S. code, the federal code, a line that, unbeknownst to the rest of us, makes it legal for illegal aliens to vote in federal elections if they believe they are citizens. It's a state of mind. Did you know?
Can you believe this, what he is exposing, guys? Illegal immigrants can vote in the presidential elections? Are you kidding me?
We didn't know that. Most people didn't know that. Catherine Engelbrecht just found this provision in the U.S. Code. That's the kind of thing she reads because she's the founder of True the Vote and has been working on these issues for a few years now. And she joins us to explain what she's found. Catherine Engelbrecht, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So would you mind explaining what seems at first blush a very far-fetched idea that the U.S. Code, as of right now, as of our speaking, would allow illegal aliens to vote in the upcoming presidential election? How would that work?
Wow.
Yeah, well, True the Vote, the organization I founded some years ago, has been long involved in looking at the accuracy of the voter rolls. And we've long maintained that inaccurate voter rolls lead to inaccurate elections. So with that as a backdrop, we've been very concerned about the lack of availability to determine citizenship status, not just by groups like ours, but by states themselves. They can't get close enough to a citizenship status database to make good determinations. That then led me to look a little deeper because, as you rightly lay out, there's a motivation here. So what might that be? We've seen many, many videos of people coming across the border who are talking about their excitement about voting for Joe Biden and claiming that they are citizens. But yet, we hear debates in Congress where the congressman will say, "You can't. Don't worry, non-citizens can't vote. It's a crime of perjury. It's a felony." So, okay, we took a deep look at the criminal code, and Title 18 left us just gobsmacked, because when you read all the way through it, as it lists all of the stipulations against non-citizen voting in federal elections, and lays out the penalties, therefore, scroll all the way down to the fine print. And what you read is that non-citizens can vote without penalty if at the time they are voting, they believe themselves to be U.S. citizens.
Wow.
Well, I mean, that seems insane. I mean, I'm taking your word for it. I'm not a lawyer or an expert in the federal code. But is there any other crime Like, if I can show that I didn't know I was robbing a liquor store, I had a gun in my hand, I was demanding money, but I didn't really think it was robbery, does that shield me from being prosecuted for robbing a liquor store?
No, certainly not. But I will say that this state of mind idea is something that we've come up against in the past related to domicile. As we've done reviews of the voter rolls, and you see people that are registered, but they're registered to vacant lots, they're registered to fast food restaurants, and the press you get back from the state as well. But residency is a state of mind. This takes that to an entirely different level. And I'll tell you what I'm really concerned about, Tucker, is that when we lived through 2020 and we saw the landscape change, lawlessness take hold, we watched on the sidelines and said, surely this can't be what it looks like is happening. Surely this move to the mass mail of ballots and unmonitored drop boxes and third-party election worker.
Guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments, because she's reading exactly what's in the law. And that is crazy to think. If they think they're citizens, they can actually vote and not be persecuted for it.
Have no proper training to support all of the ebbs and flows of process. Surely this can't be what's about to play out. And then when it did, you're left with scant few days to try to pick up the pieces and prove what really happened. I'm seeing this now play out in 2024 on this issue, much the same. And so it's my hope that we can awaken Americans to this problem and demand accountability before November so that we can decide if citizenship is truly a state of mind.
Wow.
So can I ask about the law itself, the code that you're referring to? Do you think that suggests that the foreigner, because the proposition here is that we're allowing foreigners to choose our leaders, which is insane, of course. But is the law written in such a way that foreigner will not be punished for voting in our elections, but will that vote still count? Is that clear?
Well, it's a great question, but the ballots are anonymous. So once that ballot has been cast, either by mail and it's been separated from the envelope with which it's carried to the central count, so you can't tell who voted if that's been separated, the envelope from the ballot, and certainly by machine you can't tell. So no, there's no way to pull this back. It's why it is critical that we get on the front side of this and have a very national discussion about the tracks we're heading down. This is a very...
Guys, can you believe that? I had no idea that they're literally stating, because like right now, guys, a lot of stuff is going on with the United States. The Supreme Court just ruled to block Biden's Title IX rewrite. So they blocked biological men from participating in women's sports, using women's facilities like bathrooms, locker rooms, and dormitories and things like that. But to think like, even with the voting, it's the state of mind. It's it's what you feel. It's not what is, it's what you feel. But it went all the way to the Supreme Court to block the rewrite of whatever, people feel that they are, to say, no, it's by the biological sex. Like, that is insane. But it's with voting now. Like, who would have ever thought? And it's in the law now. Like that. It's just blowing my mind how many times we continue to find more and more of this stuff coming out. It's so wrong. It's so un-American. It's so unfair to Americans. Well, guys, we got you taken care of, guys, with all this breaking news. We've got more stuff that's coming out, guys. Check this out. Oh, sorry.
So we are now on day 26 of Kamala Harris dodging the media. The vice president has not given a single interview, like a real sit down back and forth, or an open press conference where she takes, 15 or 20 questions, one after the other. She's done a couple of things on the tarmac, but it's a new day and she's at the top of the ticket. She did, however, do a sit down chat with her running mate where they grilled each other on some really tough questions. Watch this.
I I have white guy tacos and
What is that? Like mayonnaise and tuna? What are you doing?
pretty much ground beef and cheese.
That's okay. Do you put any flavor in it?
No.
Oh.
Here's the deal. No, they said to be careful and let her know this, that black pepper is the top of the spice level in Minnesota, you know?
So, Tim, what's your relationship to music?
Yeah. For me, the transformational piece of music was Bruce Springsteen's The River.
Okay.
Which is a journey.
I'm more of a hip-hop girl. I called you, Tim.
Yes.
You didn't answer, Tim.
It popped up, and we didn't recognize the caller ID. And it went to voicemail.
Yeah, never answer the phone if you don't know who's on it. I don't. Governor Walz's White Guy Tacos line is cooking up some online drama because folks discovered an old tweet of his that showed that he won an award over his turkey taco hot dish, which contains green chilies, taco sauce, chili powder, all hotter than the black pepper that he says he can't handle the spice level of. And get this, Tim Walz's dog has now granted more interviews than Kamala Harris. Vogue magazine putting a spotlight on Walz's rescue dog, Scout, which happens to be the same name of my dog. And he did an interview where they asked the pooch, quote, "What is your human's worst habit?" And he said the guy loves Diet Mountain Dew. So, I mean, it kind of, Judge, reminds me of like the what's your favorite ice cream flavor questions for Joe Biden, all of which would feel sort of cute and interesting if we weren't dealing with a lot of serious things that we haven't had any answers to quite yet.
Yeah, well, clearly her team believes that there is a risk to sending her out there and having her answer questions, that the downside is too great. And that's why they think that probably the less you see of Kamala, the more you're going to like her. But in the end, we've only got 81 days left. Yeah.
Wow.
And next week is all scripted. She may sit down and give an interview after that, and then there's the debate. And my concern is that she's not confident enough, her team is not confident enough to answer any questions. The woman is Vice President of the United States of America. What is she afraid of? What is her team afraid of? This is like Joe Biden #2. I mean, not only is she his co-pilot, but they're bubble wrapping her.
Wow.
They may not be keeping her in the basement, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And they're interviewing each other instead of, talking to the American people about things we're worried about. He's talking about his favorite spices. Americans are trying to afford those spices. The absurdity of it all is so disappointing, but at the same time, it speaks to where we are. I think a lot of young people now are not even concerned with a long-form interview. They take their phone and they just scroll and they look for the meme or they look for the whatever it is on Instagram, and that's how they get their news. They're not going to sit down for the long form anyway.
Yeah, and some of her supporters are arguing, Jessica, that it doesn't really matter. You don't have to talk to anyone. You don't have to answer questions of anyone. What are they? Trump goes out, he talks to CBS, talks to ABC, talks to NBC, goes on all these different things. He doesn't care when people throw questions at him, and he's willing to face them. I don't understand, as the judge says, she's the Vice President of the United States. I mean, she's a smart woman. Go answer the questions. What's so hard?
Well, Trump doesn't actually dialogue with anyone in a way that exposes any details of his plans. He says, I'm going to deport them all. And no one follows up and said, well, how are you actually going to round up those millions of people?
That's not true.
Yes,
He's done CNN. He's done all kinds of, he's done pretty much every outlet. Name an outlet he hasn't gone to and answered questions.
He calls these press conferences and he rants for upwards of an hour.
And then he takes questions.
But he doesn't answer them in any sort of...
Well, that's up to the American...
So tell me what's the difference, guys? Being able to speak for an hour without a teleprompter and being able to take questions versus just not even doing anything at all. The Democratic Party right now is playing a shadow game with their candidate. It is what we're seeing. It's what we saw with Biden in 2020. It's what we're seeing right now with Kamala Harris. I've got some extra things to show you at the end of this video, guys, to show you that even the people that are supposedly endorsing them are all fake, being paid over $10,000, sometimes $20,000 to try to endorse Kamala through their social media accounts.
Yeah, exactly. Or the press. Or the press, but he's doing it.
The point about what Kamala is doing is that we have 81 days left. She will absolutely be sitting down, but she doesn't need to do it right now. Her supporters are not upset about it. Even people who are in the middle are not upset about it. She's giving speeches. She's telling people what she stands for. And that video with Governor Walz was charming. They were getting to know it. Well, it might not be to you, but to millions of people it would. Because we wouldn't have this kind of election right now where Kamala Harris is trending this way and Donald Trump is trending this way if what they're doing wasn't working. Wherever you get your polls, 538, Real Clear, The Economist, the Cook Political Report, any of it, Kamala Harris is trending in the right direction.
Well, that's
and that's because of her approach to this. And
so if it's not broke, don't fix it. And
well,
I get that.
That works.
But Joey, what I'm more worried about really is what the judge said, that people don't really care, that they're happy with, a TikTok meme version of someone, and then they're going to go in and vote for that.
That's the absolute fear I have every day. I don't know where people are on issues. I can tell you this, Kamala Harris has a run against Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And that's going to be really hard to do. And the more questions she answers, the harder it gets to do that because she has been his vice president. So how do you do that? You do it by embracing Trump's ideas like child tax credit, no taxing tips. You do it by ignoring your own progressive legacy. And you do it by continuing to court the far left progressives with whatever red meat you can put out there. One of those pieces of red meat is someone like Tim Walz, who cloaks himself in this fake Midwestern conservative personality while putting tampons in boys' bathrooms, calling the censor the First Amendment, allowing riots, but jailing business owners a few months later during COVID. I was going to really make fun of him because I think about that movie, The Campaign, where Zach Galifianakis gets turned into the perfect candidate. But as soon as you take a look at him, you see, they even take his dogs away and give him better dogs. And I was going to be a very generic scout name, but then you said that was your dog's name, so I couldn't say that. But that's what he is. I mean, they're trying to paint him as this perfect Midwesterner when he's nothing less than a liar. And you know what? I saved my words on him for weeks until I saw a video of him on the House Veterans Affairs Committee, one that I served on with him as a staffer, looking at Gold Star families and saying, when they come back from war like I came back, without the mental health assets or resources they need. Bro, you were on a deployment in southern Italy. Put me on that deployment. What are you talking about? What was your mental health needs coming back from southern Italy? I'm not saying there weren't any, but maybe answer some questions on that because you looked at a Gold Star family and tried to put yourself in their sons and daughters' shoes. That's what kind of person you are. That's who she picked to go with her, not because of any ability to make good decisions. Here's the deal. Jessica and I were talking about this in the green room a little bit. President Trump is not going to say things that make you feel good. He's not going to say things that make you feel heard and seen, but he might not send your son to war for no good reason.
Guys, if you don't know what a Gold Star family is, it's a person who's had an immediate family member who lost their life in service through conflict.
Not bankrupt your business for no good reason. He might get the cost of energy down. He might not need to give you a fake $25,000 to go buy a house so that everybody else can outbid you and now the cost of housing goes up. He might not say the only way to bring down the cost of groceries is to take over the food industry. He might say $2 diesel does a lot to take care of the price of groceries.
Yes,
so I don't care what he says about the Medal of Freedom or the Medal of Honor. I don't care what words are taken out of context or even left in context. He can be a rotten human being for all I care. Do the policies that work that you did the first time.
Big Dog, appreciate the super chat, brother. Love you, man. Everybody, show some love to Big Dog in the chat, guys. Appreciate you so much for your support.
And you have my vote. I have no idea if the rest of America is on board with that.
But you do know that their plans have been evaluated and Trump's is more inflationary. Moody's did that.
Trump
you do know that
Trump
the
spent the money
GDP is
after
better
COVID.
under
I've
Biden.
criticized him for that, but there's
that
no
you
way
said, look at the
Kamala
The last
Harris.
Trump plan put $1,500 back in every middle-class family's pocket with the tax cuts. But Greg, we want to make sure we get you in.
Sure. Well, just remember the same people who told America that Joe was sharp as a tack are now telling you that Kamala.
Guys, Donkey Kong here with the super chat, guys. Thank you so much for your support. Y'all are killing it tonight. Guys, it is such a blessing to me and my family. We're here to serve you. Thank you so much for the blessings, guys. Everybody show some love to Donkey Kong and Big Dog in the chat.
Sharp as a tack. So remember that. Her approach, Kamala's approach right now is a calculated retreat because she prefers, and her campaign prefers, that she live in the world of the first impression, because it's the basket case theory. The more you know about her, the less you want to know about her. And I'm telling you, watch that again. She is not a confident candidate. It's true. And you're right. Waltz is the more you know about him, you realize they did not vet this guy.
Nope. Yep.
I mean, his campaign cover-up of his horrible DUI is, what did I say?
DEI. Little obsessed.
Same thing.
Same.
If that's not disqualifying, I don't know what is. He actually exploited his military background to cover up his crime. He said it was related to his service and that he actually wasn't drunk. He just misheard the instructions and the drunk test. He blew a super high level. It was like, 0.2, driving 100 miles an hour. And then when he's running for office, he said that he wasn't drunk. I mean, this guy has creep written all over it. He created a snitch line, but lies about his personal infractions. He doesn't even own up to it. This is a guy who pushes a hoax about a sex on a couch. And then the closer you look at him, he's
crazy, guys. Let me tell you this, because this is the truth. Whenever they had all the COVID stuff going on, his daughter was leaking out to the protesters and rioters that were destroying the city, while he sat back and for 4 days did nothing, while real Americans who built businesses lost their livelihoods. This guy is a joke. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, because we can't have Tim Walz and Harris as our president VP, guys. They don't have what it takes. They don't understand business. Waltz doesn't have investments in anything. They said he's bad with money. Kamala Harris doesn't know how to manage money for nothing, and we can't let them continue to put us more in debt and not help us grow the economy, but try to make inflation and houses more expensive by the government injecting itself more into the economy. And guys, man, I'm telling you what, this is so crazy what you're about to see with these food prices. But again, I do want to say, guys, y'all don't know how much it means to me. It's such a blessing to me and my families whenever y'all give to the channel. And we appreciate it so much, guys. Big Dog, Don Kong, y'all are awesome, guys. Y'all are the stuff. Because I don't cuss, guys. I don't know if y'all know that, but I don't cuss. But appreciate y'all so much. Check this out.
Administration, we all know, drove up inflation by just throwing the brakes on the energy industry and then borrowing and printing and spending trillions of dollars for climate boondoggles and handing out COVID cash. All of this was unnecessary and destructive, and all of it caused by the federal government under Biden and Harris. They were going to help us, right? And now, in a naked effort to buy votes, Kamala Harris is proposing more spending and more government intervention.
While we work on the housing shortage, my administration will provide first-time home buyers with $25,000 to help with the down payment on a new home.
Guys, y'all want to know how much I got for my first house? How much I got? A big fat zero. I had to save to be able to get my house.
Of course, this is a nightmarish idea, which will only result in higher housing costs as more people rush into the housing market. It's just another artificial sugar high created by printing or borrowing money. And yet somehow they expect a different result?
Look, when it comes to the $25K, I mean, you just added $25,000 into every price on every home price in the country.
Crunk Juice, oh my goodness, guys, let's go. Y'all are killing it tonight. Love y'all, appreciate you so much for the super chats, guys. Everybody show some love. We got Crunk Juice, we got Donkey Kong, we got Big Dog in the chat donating. Guys, we're growing this community. Y'all are killing it tonight. Love y'all so much.
Because if you're giving that away essentially for free, people will add it into the price.
Today's speech didn't sound like it was written by a winning campaign led by a confident candidate with a clear philosophy or even a coherent argument. And sorry, it was in no way reminiscent of Barack Obama. But it did remind me of this.
Go get a car! 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 Go get a car!
Everybody gets a car.
Except at least Oprah paid for the stuff that she gave away, or her sponsors did. But in this case, the regular working stiffs will end up paying through the nose, all due to Harris's manipulation of the housing market. And it's purely to squeeze votes from desperate people. So this economic speech, when you really listen to it, and if you didn't, I did, so don't worry about it, it's kind of a grab bag. A few of Trump's ideas thrown in, which is hilarious, some phony winks to deregulation, even to some lower taxes. No one believes that. But mostly, it seemed like it was cobbled together by left-wing think tanks and the squad. And let's face it, their ideas, like price controls, they've been batted around and rejected by sensible people for decades.
Yep.
As president, I will take on the high costs that matter most to most Americans, like the cost of food. I will go after the bad actors, and I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gauging on food.
Well, she gagged on the word gauge, or is it gouge? Who knows? We're all gagging,
Guys, let me tell you this. Have you ever heard Kamala Harris or Biden speak about anything that they're saying now? They're only doing it because they want to get votes. That I'm telling you guys, it's a fake election. And guys, real quick, I want to show you real quick. If you don't know, if you've never seen a picture, but let me show you quick on my phone. This is my family. So I got twin 10-month-old babies, and I got a 3-year-old toddler. But guys, this is who you're blessing whenever y'all give a super chat. Love and thank y'all so much for your support.
Now, I hope all of you enjoy waiting in line, because we have a preview of life under the policies that Kamala Harris announced today, or other price controls, of course, with special benefits that are doled out according to different groups that are designated as worthy by the government.
Wow.
В магазинах там вырезка, допустим, вот ее просто не было. Вот, соответственно, вот в этих вот распределителях, так называемых, там можно было купить то же мясо по государственной цене, но, естественно, лучшего качества.
Oh, that takes me back. And if controls on groceries work so well, and you see how well they work, I guess we should have them on gasoline, too.
For millions of Americans, this may be the worst weekend they've ever faced for finding gasoline to give them the automobile freedom they take as their due. For those of you who've been spared the experience so far, we want to share the emotions Americans are feeling on the gas lines.
People are very desperate. They depend an awful lot upon their cars.
I'm here since 5 in the morning. I spend every day 3 hours on the line. I am always nervous about gas.
Wow.
And speaking of out of gas, no matter how they tried to dress up this economic speech today, one thing is clear. It told us that Kamala's honeymoon is likely out of gas.
Yep.
The 100%. Momentum that was being fueled mostly by media sick.
Guys, y'all are so nice. Thank you for all the kind comments in the chat, guys. God's blessed me with a beautiful family. Actually, yesterday was me and my wife's 5-year anniversary, guys. So you know, we didn't get to go out last night, but tonight we had babysitters and stuff. That's why the video's a little later. But took her out to a nice place, guys, and God has just blessed us so much with this community and with our family.
Fans and an army of paid influencers, it seems to have plateaued. Trump and Vance are everywhere, answering questions from anyone, including a hostile press.
Yep.
Nate Silver is noting that a second straight day of gains for Trump with some mediocre polling for Harris. Her lead in the national polling average is down to 2.4 points from a peak of 3.1. It's too early to say whether there's been some turn in momentum, he says, or if it's just some statistical noise. But in any event, Harris will have a chance to refresh her momentum at the DNC next week. But the vibes aren't as good as they were a week ago. And by the way,
hey, thank you so much again, Donkey Kong. Y'all are so awesome. Y'all are killing it tonight, guys. Thank you so much. Hey, this is blessing us, guys. We just had our 5-year anniversary. This is blessing me and my family so much. Everybody show some love to Donkey Kong in the chat, guys.
We have some fascinating analysis on the new polling just out tonight, coming later on in the show. including, by the way, we just saw this, a second poll of the day showing that Kamala's losing ground and Trump is winning in Pennsylvania.
Big time.
But it's hard to believe that in their internal trend lines, things were looking strong over at the Harris campaign, because if they felt they needed to shake things up, then it can't be all rosy. And tonight, we know they're moving hard left. I think Kamala should just change her last name at this point to Sanders, because Bernie is thrilled. He's calling the plan bold and popular. Yet, as happy as he and the squad are that the anti-capitalist, pro-socialist dreams are coming true, the risk to the Democrat incumbents in tight Senate races, it's real tonight.
Yep.
Because instead of talking about Kamala's good vibes, they have to defend price controls?
What was interesting to me today in seeing this plan is that it's clearly very progressive. Regardless of what she's saying to donors behind closed doors, she is putting a progressive bent to her campaign at this point. And that's not what a lot of people expected or hoped to see. I've been talking to moderate Democrats who said she could just run a vibes campaign. She didn't have to get into policy details at all.
If you're a moderate Democrat, you're going to sleep tonight realizing that your party has become hardcore socialist on economic issues. Right now, AOC has more influence on policy than Mark Warner. Pennsylvania Senator Bob Casey sounded like a bumbling fool when he was asked for his take on price controls.
The companies that are producing food and the companies that are manufacturing household items, that's where the price gouging has taken place. Go after them, and you use price gouging legislation to do that, and to give the Federal Trade Commission power it does not have right now.
I mean, Willie Geist was looking at him going, well, GOP challenger Dave McCormick, he's going to go to town on that in Pennsylvania. Even the liberal Atlantic had to admit that Kamala's shtick today was economically dumb and made no sense to people acquainted with supply and demand, but that it may attract some support. And there was this uncomfortable moment for the morning anchors over at CNN.
We've seen this kind of thing tried in lots of other countries before. Venezuela, Argentina, the Soviet Union, etc. It leads to shortages. It leads to black.
Guys, this is literally on CNN, what you're watching. On the left, this is left-wing media saying, look, Kamala Harris's campaign politics don't make sense. They don't work. They've been tried in the past. They may sound good, but they don't work.
Markets, you know, plenty of uncertainty, might actually increase prices.
Oh, of course it will. It'll drive up inflation.
Are you kidding me?
This is an unserious economic plan put forward by an unserious candidate. And by the way, this is why you don't skip over primaries, because they have a way of weeding out the most extreme and the most inexperienced candidates out there. That's what happened with her in 20.
Just remember, guys, she is the first candidate in the history of the United States to be elected to be the Democratic nominee, and she received 0 votes from the American people. That's never happened before, and that's the United States that we're living in now. We can't have this.
19. So you love his style, you hate his style. Donald Trump doesn't need to manufacture good vibes. He doesn't need to unveil a slate of incongruent ideas. He has a proven track record of
100%.
success that was built on 9 years of effort. But Harris's support, I think it's more like Biden's. They didn't really love Biden in 2020, and they don't really love her.
No.
They just want to defeat Trump. Remember that Biden used to have vibes on his side as well. Do you remember Dark Brandon? Do you remember the ice cream stops at the ice cream shops? But once he fell behind and the post-debate reality set in, his support melted away, and then came the coup. So what will Harris's campaign look like if she falls behind, which some signs show that she's already doing? How will she...
Guys, I'm telling you this. If it wasn't a coup that literally Biden said, there's nothing that's going to take me out of this position. I am running for president. And then all of a sudden, they pull the money back. They got all the top leaders. They come in and they do what? They kick him out, and he was a sitting president. That was wrong. That should have never happened. But this is where it's at, guys. This is where you got too many people that have too much power, and we're supposed to be a constitutional republic of the people. Doesn't sound like it, though. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
How many kids had to kill today? How many kids did you kill today?
Anti-Israel agitators giving us a sneak peek of the chaos coming to the DNC. The Hamas-loving freaks crashing a New York Democrat rally for VP Harris, brawling with cops, lighting smoke bombs while storming an after-party in Harlem. They also infiltrated a Biden-Harris event yesterday and heckled Joe Biden when he was speaking. Watch this.
Our democracy is moving on. The idea was that we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women are created equal, endowed, and so on. Including Palestinians.
Martha, this is like that itch that you just can't scratch. They can't get rid of it. You're going to be at the DNC. How do you think this will impact their convention?
You know, unless they can get inside and have credentials, you know, it's very tough to get in these. And at the Republican convention, they did the same thing in Milwaukee. They figured out a way to keep them at a huge distance, essentially, saying that it was going to create a safety hazard in the city, and they managed to keep them really far away. And I mean, that's the battle that's going on right now, because these protest groups are going before the city and saying that they are stepping on their First Amendment, that they have a right to be heard by the people coming and going from the convention. So that's a battle that the city has to sort of wage. Obviously, the people of Chicago have had successful conventions. They also have the memory of 1968 in their deep memory well as well. And my guess is that they're going to keep them at a distance. But what's going to be really interesting is if somebody gets inside. If they get inside the building and they start to cause havoc there, it could be an issue. But I think it's at the voting booth that it's really going to be something that they're going to have to contend with in a more meaningful way.
I agree too.
Obviously,
because guys, this is literally dividing the Democratic Party, because are you pro-Palestine? Are you pro-Israel? And this is a lot of these anti-Israel a lot of them are Democrats. But at the same time too, it's like Israel's our biggest ally. So where do you stand at? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section.
Harris has tried to walk this fence very carefully, and I don't know how successfully at this point.
Jessica, that's really the question. She talked about how they also showed up for Republicans. They are rebuking Biden-Harris, but are Biden and Harris rebuking them enough? Is there a place for these people at the DNC?
Yeah.
Yeah, half a mile away. That's where they've been relegated to. They've shown themselves to be unsafe. This doesn't qualify as peaceful protest, or at least what we've seen in the past. Some of the campus protests that they said were so peaceful, kids were beaten up. Jewish kids were prohibited from going into libraries, going into cafeterias, going to their dorm rooms.
Lawsuits now.
Yeah. These people, they say, we want to be heard. We've heard you. And the administration, with the rest of the free world, is working as hard as they can towards a ceasefire that also returns the hostages. None of this would have happened if they hadn't shown up and killed over 1,000 people and taken hundreds of people hostage. And now they're starting fights online with Black and Latino voters, demeaning what issues are the most important to them, saying to young Black women, oh, well, you know, this is more important than anyone's right to have reproductive health care. This is more important than climate change. This is more important than gun reform, just denigrating people. And people are on their last nerve. I was on the Jewish Women for Kamala call last night, and this was a major theme of it, that they feel as though the Democratic Party and the perception of it has been co-opted from such a small fringe minority that has nothing to do with how our leadership feels, how Jewish liberals feel about our country, and how they feel about Israel and Netanyahu.
But she doesn't shut them down.
She did. Remember they showed up when she was speaking?
She said, let me speak. I'm speaking.
She dignified them. She met
didn't
with
say,
them.
we support Israel in this country.
She has been.
October 7th is, yeah.
Judge,
I'm just,
so
you know.
2 squad members have already been defeated. I don't know any others will. But, you know, is this a moment where Republicans take a step back and kind of let the left eat itself?
Yeah, let them go at it. But here's the problem. First of all, as it relates to Chicago, Chicago has the largest Palestinian population in the country. Most of us think it's in Michigan or Minnesota. No, it's in Cook County. So right there, you've got 100,000 planned to come from 150 different organizations. My understanding is that permits have been granted, but that there are restrictions on the permits. And I think, you know, that's where the problem is going to come. Hopefully they are, as Jessica says, a half a mile away. But at the same time, you know,
guys, Donkey Kong, you are too generous, man. Thank you so much for blessing us so much. He said, no question, America is a close ally to Israel. Let me tell you this, guys. America's blessed, and I believe it's because we've taken care of Israel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, because again, too, if you're a Christian and if you believe the Bible says it's God's people. Now, did they do everything perfect? No, but it's still God's people. And I think that, they're in the Middle East and everybody around them is trying to attack them. They need an ally like the United States. Donkey Kong, thank you so much again for your super chat. Guys, show Donkey Kong some love in the chat.
First Amendment right, but it's got to be balanced against safety and security for everybody else. But to me, the most curious part of this issue is, how they see Kamala and Biden. On the one hand, they know that Joe Biden is the guy who, freed up or opened up $80 million in oil sales so Iran can then fund Hamas and all these other organizations, and that Iran was broke under Trump. So on the one hand, I mean, if they've got any smarts, they know that they're on their side. But on the other hand, they've got this other issue as to, Joe Biden and Kamala, and this is where she's got to do that dance, separating herself from Biden, which I don't know how she's going to do. Joe Biden is sending armaments to Israel. But she said, if you want Donald Trump to win, then keep talking. And she shut them up. So I'm not quite sure how they see her. And that's what's going to come out at this convention.
Greg, the squad only existed. We know what the squad is because they became powerful enough, 5 or 6 members of Congress. And this is a group that they pandered to. So the idea that Democrats can just wash their hands of these people doesn't really carry water with me.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's that much daylight between these protesters and some of the people in the room. I mean, just ask Josh Shapiro. I mean, he's not in the room because of the squad, and the protesters were probably really happy that they ditched him because he was a Jew or is a Jew.
Guys, just imagine, Josh Shapiro is a Jew. It's already out there. A lot of people have already pretty much confirmed it, that the only reason that he's not on the ticket for VP for Kamala Harris is because he's a Jew. Talk about anti-Semitic, not right whatsoever. Guys, I got something real special for y'all, because you need to see what's actually going on behind the scenes at the DNC in just a moment.
When you split people into groups, you end up ultimately pitting them against each other because you sacrifice the uniqueness of an individual. Here's a person named Steve, but then you turn him into Steve, a member of LGBTQ, and all of a sudden you have the demands of a group, and a group that tells people that they are special as opposed to unique. So that's what, when you were talking about what's happening on these groups are turning on each other, because that's the natural evolution of these things. If you tell a group that they're special, then they're going to be more special than the other group. Patriotism and religion, they said you were unique. They didn't say you were special. Right? And that's what you're seeing right now. And I think, it might be ugly there.
Yeah.
It might be ugly there. I'm glad I'm not going. One benefit of being a Republican, those aren't your brats. We crack the whips. We know how to be an adult. It's like being at a restaurant and your kids are well behaved and you look over and you see their kids and they're screaming and yelling. You go like, my God, it's not the kids, it's the parents. Democrats got to discover their inner adult. Jessica.
Without the
Ooh, he just called her out.
iPads, that's what I do.
Guys, I'm telling you this. Check this out. So everything that you see, I'm telling you, there's too much crap that you see on the Democratic side that is fake, that is paid for, that is not real. You will not believe what you're about to hear right here. Check this out.
Kamala Harris is allegedly paying influencers and celebrities $20,000.
$20,000
each to attend the DNC convention through PR agents. There's an email that's being sent to influencers from public relations managers who got paid by the campaign to inform celebrities and influencers that they can be compensated by the DNC.
Watch.
In addition to pay, the DNC is offering flights, hotel, credentials to the convention, exclusive invites to private parties and events happening during the week in Chicago. Influencers and celebrities are required to post on social media while at the event to be eligible. That's insane.
Did you hear that? They have to post at the event. They have to show themselves at the DNC in order to be eligible for the $20,000. Guys, too much fakeness. It's not real. Everything that you're seeing, all this, they're saying they're going to give 25,000 here. They're going to do this, this, and that. It's all fake. We need to make sure we vote right. We hold them accountable. Just want to say thank you to everybody that is watching. If you're not subscribed, please smash that subscribe button, guys. We want to take care of you every day with the top news. Remember, Monday through Friday, 2 shows and 1 show on Saturday, maybe 2 depending on the weekend, depending on how the news goes, guys. But I just want to give some shout outs, guys. Big Dog DFW tonight, Donkey Kong, Crunk Juice. Guys, y'all have been so amazing. Thank you so much for your support and your super chat blessings to our family, to this channel. We couldn't do this without you. It is all because of you guys. We love you. We thank you. We want to serve you every day. And hopefully, you know, we just continue to grow this community, guys. We want to hit 1 million subscribers one day, and we can't do it without you guys. The road to 1 million starts here. Guys, thank you so much. We'll get some fireworks for the show tonight. Are they going to give me them? Are they going? Wait, there we go. Alrighty, guys. Love you. Thank you so much. And we will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye. Bruh.